I am really excited about this video. I was looking up my keyword searches and I realized people are Googling, where does the Bible mention free will? And this is a topic I really love. I'm wearing my Reformed Man t-shirt, so you know I'm coming at this from a Reformed perspective. You can check out my video on what is Reformed theology if you have no idea what I'm talking about, where I explain what this means. But let's talk about where the Bible mentions free will. And here's the thing. It doesn't. Free will is a word you will not find in your Bible. And you say, well, I'm a Greek scholar. I'm going to read this in the original languages. Great, you won't find it in Greek either. Free will does not exist in the Bible. But let's talk about what does exist in the Bible. And I think to even begin this discussion, we have to talk about what is free. Because proponents of free will talk about our ability to choose. The fact that God asks us to choose, that we are required to choose, and then we're held responsibility for our choices. Those are all important concepts. But the word free means free. For instance, if you take your dog out for a walk in the park and he's on a leash, is your dog free? No, your dog is not free. Your dog is constrained by a leash. If you take your dog and you turn him out in your backyard, is he free? Well, depends on whether you have a fence or not. If you have a fence, then your dog is not free. He is constrained by the fence. And if you don't have a fence, your dog is free to go wherever he wants. I mean, ultimately, he's not going to be completely free because he'll find a fence somewhere. But free has this idea of no barriers, of freedom, of even no influence. Okay, so we talk about influences. Like if I go out and I rob a gun store. And so I go to court and I go to trial and they're all like, hey, you robbed this guy at gunpoint and that's really terrible, Joe. Why'd you do that? If I say, well, the reason I did it is because there was a man who had a gun to my wife's head in the car and he said if I didn't rob this store, he was going to shoot my wife. Was I free to choose whether or not I robbed that store? Well, to some extent, I still have control over some of my own choices, but this is a scenario where I am not free. There are influencers on me that are kind of forcing me down a path that I don't want. And so when we talk about freedom, I think sometimes we forget that there's a lot of principles that can transfer over. We discuss things like people being molested. Well, are they free? Was this their sin, a sexual sin of the victim? No, the victim wasn't free. The victim was forced into something. This isn't okay. So there was no freedom there for one person. So when we talk about where does the Bible mention free will? Well, let's start with John 8:34, and this is going to be our capstone verse. Jesus said, I assure you, everyone who commits sin is a slave of sin. Okay, so if you have sinned, and we all have sinned, 1 John's going to tell us that later, that if you don't think you've had any sin, you've deceived yourself. But we've all sinned, and if we've sinned, we're a slave to sin. Is a slave free? No, they're not. Just like that dog that's on a leash. Colossians 3:5-6. So put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you, having nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires. It keeps on going down. But Colossians 3 says there's a sin that lurks within me. And if it lurks within me, it starts to do anything. And so James puts it this way. Each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. So James is saying that sin that is lurking away is dragging you away. Jesus is saying that sin, you are a slave to that sin. And then in Romans 7, Paul says, I don't even understand what I'm doing. Because sometimes I do what I want, but then I really hate that thing. But then I hate the things that I do, and I don't do the things that I want to do. And Paul's just like, Paul's saying that my sin nature has me do things that I don't want to do. Jesus says your sin is a slave. So you can't have free will in the unregenerate state. Before conversion, before believing on Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, there is no such thing as free will because your will always be constrained, influenced, and guarded by your sin nature. God says no one can do any righteousness. All our righteousness is as filthy rags. Why? Because it's all influenced by sin. And so then in the conversion experience, when we accept and believe the gospel, we repent of our sin, we believe on Christ, and all these cool things happen, God says he gives us a new heart. He gives us a new mind. And so new things start to happen because we're actually more free after we've been saved than before. Before we're a slave to our sin and none of our works can count for moral righteousness. And then after we're saved, we are free to make these choices that we couldn't have before. Now you're going to ask me, well, Joe, how do we ever get saved? What happens with our free will? Well, I'm going to refer you to another one of my videos that you need to check out. It's a concept of predestination in the Bible. I want you to look at my video on predestination. I'm going to put it on the end screen for you here. I want you to go check that out and leave me a comment and tell me what you think. If you found free will in the Bible, man, you need to let me know. But we need to frame our discussion in terms of choice because choice is something in the Bible. Free will is not. We're always influenced by our sin. Therefore, our will is not free.